The auction room was cold, quiet, and filled with shadows. It wasn't just the lights, it was the people. Powerful aliens in long robes, metal armor, and dark suits sat in rows, their eyes fixed on the stage. This was not a place for kindness. This was the black market of Zentar Prime, a hidden world far outside the reach of human law. Here you could buy anything: ships, weapons, and sometimes people. A small light flickered above the stage. The announcer, a thin alien with no eyes and sharp teeth, stepped forward. "Next item," he said in a calm, cruel voice. "Lot 92. Rare species. Highly valuable. Part psychic." Guards dragged her forward. She looked no older than 16 in human years, but her skin shimmered like silver in the light. Long chains wrapped around her arms and ankles. Her eyes, glowing faint blue, stared at the floor. Her lips were cracked. Her legs shook as she walked. Some of the buyers leaned forward. Others smiled. But one man in the back didn't move. His name was Rain Carter. Human. Ex-captain of the Solar Fleet. Retired after the war, or maybe thrown out. Nobody knew for sure. He wore a simple coat, brown and dusty, and a scar ran from his left cheek to his ear. He looked like he didn't belong there, but he knew exactly what this place was. Rain had seen many things in the galaxy. This was something worse. Starting. Bid 100,000 creds, the announcer called. Hands went up. Screens beeped. Rain said nothing. 150. 200. The bidding went higher. Rain's eyes stayed locked on the girl. He could tell. She was trying not to cry. One of the guards struck her knee to make her bow. She fell. A few in the crowd laughed. Something inside Rain twisted. He had come here looking for an old contact, maybe a ship part. Not this. He looked around. The aliens were entertained, amused. Rich monsters watching a child sold like furniture. 400,000. 500. Suddenly, Rain stood up. The room went silent. The announcer raised an eyebrow. "A new bid?" Rain didn't answer. He walked slowly to the front, past the rows of buyers. "Please return to your seat, sir," the guard warned. Rain stopped at the edge of the stage. He looked at the girl. She looked back, eyes wide now, scared. He raised one hand, but not two. "Bid." He reached under his coat, pulled out his old blaster, and pointed it straight at the announcer's head. Gasps. Chairs fell over. Someone screamed. "Auction's over," Rain said. The guards moved. Rain fired. One shot hit a control box. The chains around the girl dropped. Another shot hit a guard's leg. Panic broke out. "Grab her!" Rain shouted. The girl hesitated, then ran to him. Rain covered her with his coat and pulled her behind him. The announcer screamed, "You'll die for this, human." Rain shot again. The lights went out. He grabbed the girl's hand and ran. Behind them, alarms blared. They reached a side door. Rain kicked it open and pulled her into the back halls of the auction house. Red lights flashed. Footsteps chased them. "What's your name?" he asked, breathing hard. She looked up at him, confused. "Name," he said again, more gently. "Leora." "Okay, Leora. Stay close." They ran through corridors, stairwells, and dark tunnels until they reached the ship docks. Rain's ship, a small fast courier called the Ghost Hawk, was waiting. Barely legal, heavily modified, and ready to run. He opened the hatch. They jumped inside. "Strap in," he said. Leora didn't know how, so Rain buckled her seat. The engines roared to life. Guards appeared outside. Rain fired from the ship's turrets. One fell. Others ran for cover. He hit the thrusters. The ship lifted and shot into the sky, breaking through Zentar's cloudy atmosphere. Silence inside. Just the sound of engines humming. Leora sat frozen in her seat, staring at her wrists. No more chains. Rain looked at her. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "They hurt you?" he asked. She didn't speak. He sighed and turned the ship to autopilot. "Listen," he said. I don't know who you are or why they wanted you, but I wasn't going to let them win. She looked at him again, this time with something new in her eyes. Hope. Rain leaned back in his seat, staring into space. He had just broken 10 galactic laws. Maybe more. The entire galaxy would be coming for him now, and for the first time in years, he didn't care, marked an enemy. The stars outside were quiet, peaceful, but inside the ship the air was tense, heavy like something was about to break. Rain Carter sat in the pilot's seat, hands gripping the controls too tightly. The Ghost Hawk flew fast, cutting through the edge of the black zone, a dead stretch of space with no laws, no signals, and no second chances. Leora sat across from him, wrapped in a blanket. Her silver skin was scratched, bruised. Her eyes, those glowing pale blue eyes, watched him without blinking. "They'll be chasing us," she said quietly. Her voice was soft, calm, too calm for someone who had just escaped slavery. "Yeah," Rain muttered. "I know." He didn't say it out loud, but he had already seen the warnings. The galaxy net was lit up, every bounty board flashing his name, face, and ship. Fugitive, human male, armed. Assisted the escape of a Class Red prisoner, kill on sight. Class Red. That wasn't a normal slave tag. That was military grade. He looked at her again. "What are you, Leora?" She lowered her head. "A mistake." "That's not what I meant." She didn't answer. Rain leaned back and sighed. He had gone to Zentar Prime for a part, maybe a drink, not to start a war with. The Galactic Council, but something in that girl's eyes. It reminded him of someone he had failed long ago. "You hungry?" he asked. She shook her head. "I don't eat like you do. Right? Not human. You remember where you're from?" A pause. Then quietly, "The world I was born on is gone. Burned." Rain flinched. He had heard stories. Planets erased from maps, whole species wiped out. But those were just stories. "How'd you end up in chains?" "They were afraid," she said. "They didn't understand what I was." "And what are you?" Leora looked straight at him. "Dangerous." Suddenly the ship's alarm blared. "Incoming." Signal detected. Long-range patrol cruiser, council ship. Rain jumped to the controls. "Damn it, they found us." The screen showed a large vessel heading straight toward them. Bigger, faster, armed to the teeth. "Can you outrun it?" Leora asked. Rain smirked. "Probably not, but I can outthink it." He hit a sequence of buttons. The ship dove into a debris field. Old satellite shells, broken mining ships, floating ice chunks. "Hold on," he said. The Ghost Hawk swerved through metal and rock. The cruiser followed, firing warning shots. Rain took them deeper. Tighter spaces, closer turns. "They'll destroy you," Leora said. "Not us." "You." "Let them try." Rain growled. He made a sharp turn and vanished behind a broken freighter. The cruiser lost sight for a moment. In that second, Rain launched a decoy pod, a glowing heat signature designed to look like his engine. The cruiser fired. Boom. The pod exploded. On their radar, Rain's ship was gone. They took the bait. Rain held his breath as the enemy ship turned, away, scanning the debris. Slowly, silently, Ghost Hawk slipped away. "That's the second time you've saved me," Leora whispered. "Don't count," he said. "I might screw up the third." But he smiled just a little. They flew in silence for a few minutes. Then Leora stood and walked to a small mirror on the wall. She touched her neck. Felt a small bump under her skin. Rain noticed. "What's that?" "A tracker," she said. "They can still find me. It's inside me." "You're sure?" She nodded. "They put it in when I was a child. If I leave certain zones, it sends out a signal." Rain cursed under his breath. "Can you cut it out?" "No. It's fused to my spine. If someone tries to remove it the wrong way, it'll kill me. And the right way? A medical unit, class 4 or higher, illegal on most planets." Rain stood up, walked to a locker, pulled out a small black case. "I know a guy," he said. Leora looked up. "Can you trust him?" "No. But he owes me." The ship landed on a hidden moon base. Dark, dusty, run by outlaws. Rain stepped out first, scanning the shadows. Then, he nodded and Leora followed. They met Dr. Vench, a retired alien surgeon who had once been banned from 3 systems for unauthorized experiments. "Carter," Vench said, grinning with needle-sharp teeth. "I thought you were dead." "Working on it," Rain replied. "I need a scan. Level 4. Vench raised a brow. "Who's the girl?" "None of your business." But Vench was already scanning her. His face went pale. "You brought her here?" "Here? Can you remove the tracker?" "Yes." "But you don't get it, do you?" Vench leaned closer. "Do you even know who she is?" Rain tensed. "You're gonna tell me, aren't you?" Vench pointed to the screen. "She's not a slave, she's a prototype." Rain froze. "A what?" "Genetic, psychic, part machine. Created by the Council's secret lab. A living weapon. Project Silence." Rain looked at Leora. She turned away, ashamed. "They destroyed her people," Vench said. "Burned their planet to cover it up. She's the last. And if you think they'll stop chasing her, you're a bigger fool than I thought." Rain clenched his fists. His voice was low now, cold. "Then let them come." The girl who wasn't supposed to exist, the surgery room was dark and cold, lit only by flickering green lights and buzzing monitors. Rain stood against the wall, arms crossed, eyes locked on the table. Lenoa lay still. Her breathing was slow, too slow. Dr. Vench worked in silence, metal arms moving around her. His hands were fast, almost mechanical, performing a delicate dance of lasers and microblades. Rain hated waiting. He'd rather fight a dozen bounty hunters than stand here helpless. "You said you've done this before," Rain said. "I have," Vench replied, without looking up. "But never on someone like her." "Someone like her?" Rain repeated. Vench paused. "She's not just enhanced," he said. "She's not even fully organic. Half of her nervous system is synthetic, council grade, the kind they use in war drones." Rain stepped closer. "Then she is a weapon?" "No," Vench whispered. "She's what happens when the council tries to play God and forgets the cost." Suddenly the monitor beeped. Red lights blinked. Leora's body shook. "What's happening?" Rain asked, alarmed. Vench worked faster. "Her mind is fighting the machine. The tracker wasn't just a chip. It was a lock, and now her body's trying to break free." "Will she survive?" Vench didn't answer. Then, silence. The machine stopped. The lights dimmed. The shaking ended. Leora gasped, eyes snapping open. For a moment, the lights in the room flickered. The metal table beneath her bent slightly, like some unseen force had pressed down on it. She sat up, breathing hard. Rain moved toward her. "Leora, can you hear me?" She blinked, looking at him, then nodded slowly. "It's gone," she whispered. "The cage. It's gone." Rain exhaled deeply. "You did good, kid." Dr. Vench stepped back, shaking his head. "She's free now. But do you even understand what that means?" "Explain," Rain said. Vench pulled up a hologram, faded images of council documents, blacked out names, hidden files. Years ago, there was a species called the Kalari, peaceful, advanced, and deeply psychic. The council saw them as a threat because they couldn't control them. He swiped again. Images of warships burning skies, cities in flames, bodies. So they made a deal, offered protection alliance, then betrayed them. Project Silence was launched to wipe them out. Rain clenched his jaw. "Genocide," Vench nodded. "They captured a few, children mostly, and used them to create hybrids, spliced with technology, rebuilt as weapons." Leora looked away. "I was the only one who survived." "And now," Vench continued, "you carry memories they thought were lost. Codes, secrets, maybe even the location of what's left of their labs." Rain turned to her. "Why didn't you tell me?" Leora's voice cracked. "Because every time someone found out, they tried to use me, or kill me." There was a long silence. Then Rain spoke, his voice steady. "I'm not them." Suddenly the lights dimmed again. A warning flashed on the wall screen. Unauthorized scan detected. Perimeter breach. Rain's hand flew to his blaster. We've been tracked. Vench backed away. You brought her here, you idiot. No, Rain snapped. You scanned her. You pinged something. The screen blinked. 5 ships. Inbound. Council design. Heavily armed. They're here, Vench whispered, terrified. They're already here. Rain grabbed Leora's arm. We're leaving. Now. No, Vench said, stepping in front of the door. They'll kill us all. We have to hand her over. Maybe they'll spare. Rain didn't hesitate. He punched Vench square in the jaw. The old doctor dropped to the floor. Come on, Rain growled. They raced through the back tunnels of the moon base. Sirens wailed. Doors locked. Automated turrets turned online. Rain blasted through a maintenance shaft. Leora followed, heart pounding. Outside, the Ghost Hawk waited, its engines already humming. Rain's emergency command had brought it in. They climbed aboard just as the first Council dropship touched down. Rain hit the thrusters. The ship roared upward, dodging laser fire. One shot grazed the wing, metal sparked and groaned. In the cockpit, Leora looked back at the moon. We can't keep running, she said. We won't, Rain replied. But we need answers first. He opened a hidden compartment. Inside, an old data crystal, encrypted, forbidden. This has locations of the old Kalari outposts, he said. Someone else survived, or left behind something that can help us bring the truth out. Leona stared at it. Her fingers trembled. This is war, isn't it? She asked. Rain gave her a small, tired smile. No, this is payback. The Council's secret space stretched endlessly around them, dark and quiet, but nothing felt peaceful anymore. Rain sat at the console of Ghost Hawk, staring at the data crystal in his hand. The encryption was ancient, alien, not human. Even his ship's AI couldn't break it completely. Behind him, Leora sat in silence, eyes closed, hands resting on her knees. She had been meditating like this for hours, barely moving, barely breathing. The tracker was gone, but something else had awakened in her, something vast, something dangerous. We've got a location, Rain finally said. Deep sector. Planet doesn't show up on any current charts. Name's Ketora. Leona opened, her eyes. I know that name. Rain turned. You do? It was a sanctuary, before the Council came. My people called it the Sleeping Stone. We hid many things there, maybe even someone. Then we go, Rain said. But it won't be safe, she warned. Even if no one else is there. Something might have stayed behind. Rain gave a small, tired smirk. Good. I'm tired of safe. The journey took 3 days through hyperspace and a decaying wormhole. They exited near a cold, dying star. The planet Ketora hovered in the dark like a secret kept too long, covered in thick clouds with scars across its surface that looked like burns. They landed in silence. No signals, no signs of life. Stay close, Rain said, blaster in hand. Leora stepped down beside him. The ground was soft, almost like ash. Ruins stretched out before them, massive stone structures covered in vines and dust. It felt ancient, haunted. As they walked deeper, they found carvings, symbols glowing faintly as Leora passed them. They seemed to react to her presence. This was a temple, she said softly. A place of memory. Rain scanned the area. Memory of what? The First War. They reached a sealed gate, smooth and black, covered in strange markings. Leora stepped forward, placed her hand on it. A loud hum. Then, click, the gate opened. Inside was a chamber filled with glowing crystal pillars. At the center, a single cryopod sat, covered in frost. Rain stared. Someone's alive in there? Leona's breath caught in her throat. It's her. Who? My sister. Rain's jaw tightened. You never said you had family. I didn't know she survived, Leora whispered. She was taken before me. I thought she was gone. They opened the pod. Slowly, the figure inside stirred. A girl, older than Leora, same silver skin but with scars across her face. Her eyes opened, glowing like fire. You came, she said, voice raspy. Leora knelt. I found you. After all this time. The older girl looked at Rain. Who's he? A human, Leora said. He saved me. The sister studied him for a moment, then nodded. Then he's earned my trust. Suddenly, alarms in Rain's earpiece. Proximity alert. Ships in orbit. They followed us, Rain muttered. How? The sister pointed to a wall console. They always knew. The council left a beacon here to erase the last piece of truth. She walked to the console and activated a projection. Footage flickered to life. Holograms of council meetings, discussions, orders, the entire war. How? They planned the destruction of the Kalari, the secret experiments, the orders to bury everything. This is it, Rain whispered. This is the truth. Yes, the sister said. But now they'll kill anyone who hears it. Outside, the sky turned red. Council gunships descended, engines screaming. Rain ran to his comm. I start remote launch of the Ghost Hawk. Prep jump drive. Affirmative. The ship's voice replied. We need to get this data out, he told the sisters. If we make it to any open system, we can broadcast this. They won't let us leave, the older sister warned. Leora stepped forward, her voice calm, but strong. Then we make them try. She raised her hands. The crystal pillars around them pulsed. Outside, the ground shook. As the gunships landed, a wave of energy burst from the temple like a psychic shockwave. Machines shorted out, soldiers screamed, metal bent. What the hell was that? Rain asked. She's waking up, the older sister said. Her mind is no longer locked. Leora's eyes glowed brighter. I remember now. Everything. The codes. The council's real weakness. You can stop them? Rain asked. No, she said. We can. Rain looked at the sky. More ships were coming. Hundreds, maybe. We're outnumbered, he said. Not outwilled, Leora replied. Dead or alive in the far reaches of the galactic core, a single message echoed across star systems, broadcast on every bounty channel, criminal network, and outlaw frequency. Target, Rain Carter, human male, former fleet captain. Charges: treason, council assault, theft of classified data. Target Leora, Kalari-class hybrid, escaped subject. Threat level: extreme. Reward: 12 million creds. Dead or alive. Across hundreds of planets, faces turned to holoscreens. Bounty hunters smiled. Mercenaries reloaded their weapons. Warlords whispered one word: open season. On board the Ghost, Hawk Rain paced the deck while the sisters, Leora and her older sibling Nayla, worked silently to finish decrypting the files they recovered on K-Tora. The transmission data was ready, but the network they needed to broadcast to the galaxy, the freewave grid, was shielded and only accessible through a high-orbit relay. Which meant one thing: they had to go through Helion Drift, a lawless junk field run by pirates and former council spies. We've got a narrow window, Rain said, checking the nav screen. After we drop out of hyperspace, we'll have about 6 minutes to reach the relay before the grid resets. Nayla looked up. 6 minutes against bounty. Hunters from 10 systems generous. Rain smirked. They're hunters, I'm bait. Leora glanced toward him. They won't just come for you, they want me more. Then we give them what they want, Rain said. And while they're looking at us, the truth gets out. But as they jumped into hyperspace, something began to eat at Rain. A name. Face someone he hadn't seen in years. Meanwhile, somewhere in the outer belt, a tall woman stood in the center of a ruined shipyard. Her armor was matte black. Her visor showed the bounty post. Rain's face, Leora's data, coordinates. Cass Vega, the most feared bounty hunter in the galaxy. Once, she and Rain had served together. Once, they'd been more than partners. Now she loaded her rifle, whispered, "Sorry, Captain," and activated her ship. The Ghost Hawk burst into real space just outside the Helion drift. The relay tower spun slowly, its massive dishes scanning the void. They had one shot. Rain pushed the engines. "We're being pinged," Nayla warned. "Multiple ships locking on." Leora closed her eyes, reaching out with her mind. "They're circling. 10 of them. No, 12. And one's different," Rain said quietly. "She's here." Leora turned. "Who?" "Cass." Nayla raised an eyebrow. "You know her?" Rain's voice was distant. "I used to. Before anyone could ask more, missiles launched from the nearest ship. Boom. The Ghost Hawk rocked violently. "Shields at 40%, Nayla shouted. "Keep the nose pointed at the relay," Rain growled. Another blast. They spiraled. Smoke poured from the rear vents. Leora stepped forward. "We can't make it like this." "Then we change the plan," Rain said. He opened a hidden bay beneath the floor. Inside, a small drone capsule, transmission ready. "You're launching it?" Nayla asked. Rain nodded. "You and Leora protect the ship. I'll draw them off." "What are you saying?" Leora demanded. "I'll take a pod, go loud, make them chase me. Cass won't ignore a chance to face me alone." "You won't survive," Leora whispered. Rain gave a small smile. "Maybe not, but the truth will." He turned to leave. "But..." Leora grabbed his arm. "Don't you dare die," she said, voice trembling. He looked at her, then at Nayla. "You both survive, no matter what." Moments later, a secondary pod blasted away from Ghost Hawk, engines flaring bright, weapons hot. And just as Rain predicted, half the bounty fleet turned. Cass Vega smiled. "Hello, Rain." Aboard Ghost Hawk, Leora launched the drone toward the relay. "It's climbing," Nayla said. 10 seconds to upload. Outside, 2 enemy ships locked on. "We won't make it," Leora whispered. Nayla handed her a control stick. "Yes, we will." She activated the Kalari burst core, a raw psychic feedback loop. The ship pulsed. Time twisted for a split second. The attacking ships lost control, spinning into wreckage. Above the planet, Rain's pod collided with Cass's ship. They crashed into a drifting freighter, breaking through metal and fire. He stumbled out, bleeding, gun in hand. Cass walked forward, removing her helmet. "You always had bad timing," she said. "You always had good aim," he replied. "You can still walk away," she offered. "You can still miss," he said. They fought. Hard. Faster than most humans could follow. Old wounds, old rage, old fire. But in the end, Rain dropped his weapon. "Go ahead," he said. "Do it." Cass hesitated. Behind her, the sky pulsed. Leora's transmission went live. All systems, all channels. The truth spread like wildfire. Cass lowered her gun. "They'll kill you for this," she whispered. "Then let them try," Rain said. Sacrifice protocol space burned. Every screen across the known systems had lit up with the truth. Grainy footage of war crimes, experiments, council, lies. Voices across planets began to whisper, then scream. Rebellion stirred. Old flags were pulled from fire. Forgotten names were spoken again. And somewhere, in a cold black corner of the galaxy, Rain Carter bled alone. He leaned against a bulkhead, inside a wrecked freighter drifting through the orbit of Helion drift. His ribs were broken, leg torn, and a slow trickle of blood slid from his mouth. Cass Vega had left him alive, but barely. He had bought Leora time, but the price had come. "Do." He tapped his comms, static. No answer. He laughed weakly. "Figures." His hand shook as he pulled a small chip from his coat. Not a weapon, not a key. A photo. A little girl. Human. Maybe 5 years old. Black hair, bright eyes. "You died for nothing," he whispered. "Or maybe, this is how I fix." Head on board Ghost Hawk. Leora sat in the medbay, shivering. Her skin glowed too bright now. Her hands trembled. Her mind burned. Nayla paced. "You need to rest." "I can't," Leora said. "I feel too much. Everyone. Everywhere." "You're resonating with the grid," Nayla explained. "Your abilities were never meant to." Connect with all minds at once. But I hear them, Leora whispered. They're scared, and angry, and some want to rise. You did that, Naela said. Leona looked up. No, we did. And now, it's happening. What they tried to stop, what they feared. A warning flashed on the screen. Proximity alert. A ship was coming, not council, not bounty hunter. A black vessel, ancient, silent, its signal hidden under thousands of layers of encryption. Naela frowned. That's Kalari tech, but old, older than even I remember. They watched as the ship docked automatically, no guns fired, no demands made. A single word flashed across their comms. Return. They stepped onto the alien ship. It was dark but alive, walls breathing like lungs, lights flickering like pulse veins. At its center, they found a living core, a spherical structure of crystal and memory. A voice spoke from within, soft, layered, male and female, and machine. Project Silence failed, but its seed survived. Protocol must complete. What protocol? Leora asked. The sacrifice. A light bloomed. Images of the past filled the room. Her people, the first strike, the creation of hybrids, the last experiment, hidden in deep, code. A defense system built inside Leora's body. Not a weapon to destroy armies, but to shut down the Council's psychic control grid across the galaxy. Permanently, it would sever the Council's ability to suppress minds, block memories, erase voices, but the cost. Activation will burn out her neural core, the voice said. Subject will not survive. Naela stepped forward. No, there must be another way. There isn't, Leora said quietly. I remember now. I was built for this. Naela shook her head. We just found each other again. Don't ask me to lose you again. I'm not asking, Leora said. She turned to leave. I need to find Rain. Rain awoke to static and light. Cass sat beside him watching. You're tougher than you look, she said. You still hit like a meteor, he replied. The Council's hunting you harder now, she said. They've issued an Omega order. Rain's eyes narrowed. What's that? They're no longer trying to silence you. They're moving to full extinction protocol. Anyone who even speaks your name will be blacklisted, or worse. Coughed. Makes you wonder what they're really afraid of. Cass hesitated. Then she pulled something from her belt. A small drive. This was hidden inside a council vault. They thought I was after your head. I was after this. Rain stared. The drive contained protocols, real names, secret votes, orders signed by the highest seats in the galaxy, approving the destruction of the Kalari and the creation of psychic weapons. You release this, Cass said, and you burn the whole system down. What happens after? Rain asked. Chaos, she said. Rain laughed bitterly. Might be worth it. When Leora finally reached him, he was half broken and barely standing. You came back, he said. She hugged him. Tight. Too tight. I know how to end it, she whispered. Rain frowned. You don't sound happy about that. Because it'll end me too. Rain pulled back. No, we find another way. There isn't. Then we make one. Rain, she said softly. This is what I was born to do. He looked at her, really looked, and saw the fire in her. Not a weapon, not a tool, a choice. You're not dying a weapon, he said. You're living as a person. Then help me choose. The next move had to be final. Either Leora sacrifices herself to end the Council's power grid, or Rain does something no human has ever done. Merge with Kalari tech. Risk his mind, his soul, his life, to save hers. But deep inside the hidden vessel, a last secret waits one neither of them expects. The protocol was never meant for Leora. It was meant for someone else, and that someone is Rain. A human against the galaxy, there are moments when history splits. Moments so sharp they cut through time itself. This was one of them. The ancient Kalari ship hovered in silence, deep in the uncharted zone between Council space and the Resistance-held worlds. Around it, war brewed. Patrol fleets tightened their grip. Whispers of rebellion spread like smoke. And inside, 2 lives balanced the weight of a galaxy. Rain Carter stood before the living core, a swirling vortex of memory, code, and consciousness. Beside him, Leora watched, silent, afraid, not for herself, but for him, because the truth had shattered everything. The sacrifice protocol, the final key to shutting down the Council's psychic control network, had not been coded into her. It had been meant for a human, and somehow long ago Rain Carter had been chosen. "This doesn't make sense," he said, pacing. "I was never part of this. I fought in their wars. I took orders. I didn't even know the Kailari existed until I found her." The voice of the living core pulsed from the chamber walls. "You were chosen because you were ordinary, immune to psychic chains, fully human, unmodified, a mind unbound by the Council's reach." Nayla narrowed her eyes. "You're saying he's the only one who can survive this?" "Not survive," the voice corrected. "Complete." Leona stepped forward. "There must be another way. He's already given everything." Rain held up a hand. "No," he said. "Not everything. Not yet." They had 6 hours before the Council's Omega fleet reached them. Dozens of dreadnoughts. Planetary-class suppressors. Psi-shielded death. Squadrons the fleet wasn't coming to fight, it was coming to erase. "What happens if I do it?" Rain asked. The core responded. "Your mind will be amplified through the psychic lattice. The sacrifice protocol will detonate the command grid at every link point. But the process will unravel your consciousness." "Will I die?" Rain asked. "Yes, not at once. But you will forget. First your name, then your past, then yourself." Leora's breath caught. Rain closed his eyes. "Then let's begin." The preparation took hours. Leora and Nayla linked Rain's brain to the Kailari interface, heavily protected to keep him conscious long enough to guide the signal. His thoughts would become a weapon. His memories would fuel the blast. As they worked, Rain spoke quietly to Leora. "When I first saw you in chains, I didn't know why I stepped in. I just knew I couldn't walk away." "You didn't save me," she said. "You reminded me what I was worth." He smiled. "Then promise me you'll keep reminding others." The Omega fleet arrived. The Kailari ship rose from the black. The 2 sides stared across space. The Council broadcast one message: surrender and be deleted peacefully. Rain broadcast back: "No." He activated the protocol. It started slow, just a tremor in the void. Then a pulse, a wave, a scream across every psychic channel in the galaxy. Command networks shut down. Mind control grids snapped. Enslaved systems woke. From slave mines to hidden colonies, people blinked as if seeing for the first time. 1,000,000 soldiers dropped their weapons. Broadcasts began to play. Raw footage from Project Silence, signed orders from the Council, the experiments, the that spread like fire. And at the center of it all, Rain. Inside the core chamber, Rain trembled. "What's your name?" Leora asked. He paused. "I had one." His eyes flickered. He couldn't focus. Nayla reached for him. "Rain, stay with us." "No," he whispered. "Go, finish this." Leora leaned down, tears in her eyes. "Thank you." He smiled, tired. "Worth it." And then he slumped, his mind empty, his body still. But his final thought, echoing faintly in the chamber, was not one of regret. It was of hope. Weeks later, the Council had fallen. Trials began. Free systems united. Leona and Nayla flew too, world after world, speaking not as weapons but as survivors, builders, sisters. And on a quiet, peaceful moon, under twin suns, a small house stood. Inside, a man with a scar on his cheek and no name sat by a window. He stared at the sky. He didn't know who he was. But when he looked up and saw a silver-skinned girl approach him with a soft smile, he stood, something in his heart remembered. Not a face. Not a war. Just a feeling. Like he had once made the most important choice in the universe. And it had been the right one. The end.